Back again for another part of the journey. I feel this topic is one maybe people have been waiting to listen to. It's called the entire process of change, which is probably the most difficult experience we have as human beings, is to change from that negative into positivity in our thoughts, our beliefs, the way we react. As you've already listened and watched the previous videos, you'll see everything is learned and it's habitual. And as we all know, those who are struggling anyway will understand and realise that change is difficult, because nobody wants to hurt. We all want peace, we all want contentment, serenity. We mention all these words, but when it comes to change, it's extremely difficult because we don't understand what's wrong with us. I personally was too busy blaming for the hurt I went through, the expectations that I had that I've spoken about. I was very frightened, angry and confused. I tried my best to change, but didn't know how to change. And that's the purpose of these videos, is to help break that cycle of dysfunction within ourselves, our own lives and our families, to give our children and partners a chance, and friends, and to be an example to other people through change. How do we change? How do we break the habits of a lifetime? It comes through understanding and a bit of humility, but also through gratitude, because I had nothing to be grateful for, absolutely nothing to be grateful for. Didn't even know what gratitude was. But to change these habits, sitting crying in the house and terrible fear of the word God, as you know, I've already explained. But to change my thinking, something I'd been doing since I was 7, and then you're in your 30s and 40s, 50s and 60s, then it becomes difficult to change because everything becomes normal how we think, normal how we react to our own voice, normal how we react to other people, normal how we react to the world. And we have no power or control over the world, and we have no power or control over any human being. The only power and control we have is over ourselves and our mind, and that's fact. Please believe me in that. We've already experienced how unmanageable our life becomes when we try to change and control the world and people, that we can't change ourselves. So what did I have to change? I had to change my whole nature, my friends. Every bit of my nature I had to change. I couldn't sit there suicidal anymore, even when I come off of drinking drugs and stopped offending and got a house and got my life together, learned to read and write at 35. I was full of gratitude. Everything was rosy in the garden. Then the old behaviours came in when I lost my gratitude, and the fear came in, and I was overwhelmed by this fear. But to change how I was speaking and how I was thinking, how I was acting and behaving was difficult. But I had a willingness and a desire, and if you've got a willingness and a desire and you're tired and sick of the thoughts that's causing a horrible energy and sensations in our body, you will change. To change, we have to recognise, that's the first part of the process of the change. We have to admit to ourselves that the way we're thinking, behaving and reacting to our thoughts and other people has to change, and we have to admit to ourselves it's wrong in what we're doing, but we never punish ourselves because we didn't know it was wrong, and what we were doing we thought it was normal. So please don't punish yourself. You'll read books about change, you'll watch spiritual gurus on YouTube, and you'll listen to audios, and they're great, they really help us, but nobody goes to the root, which is the fear. That is the root cause of every problem in mankind, because with fear it stems. Everything else comes from fear, as you already know. The anger, the shame, the guilt, the resentment, the blame, the hurt, the selfishness, all these words that humans invented, we suffer with, but what we're really suffering from is we don't know how to change. And we're hurting because we hurt other people, and we don't want to hurt other people, and we certainly don't want to hurt ourselves. So the process of change begins with us admitting to ourselves, it's wrong in what I'm doing, I want to change. Once we find that acceptance, and we realise that what we're doing to ourselves is wrong, then that process begins, and you will feel a release when we finally admit to ourselves we can't blame anyone anymore. For me to get well, I had to take full responsibility for what was going on in my body and in my life, and I didn't want to do that, because for maybe 30 years I had blamed, and I believed it was okay for me to blame, but I would never heal and I would never get well while I'm blaming people from my past who'd harmed me, abused me and hurt me. But it does come, please believe me, I give no power to anyone anymore who abused me. I take full ownership now for every single thought that goes through my mind, every thought that causes every sensation and energy in my body. But to change, I had to learn to admit to myself, it's wrong, Gerry, don't do that to yourself anymore. Realising the thoughts were destroying my body when I ended up in the hospital and really ill, cancer twice and all the other things I mentioned earlier. That was through my thinking. Now, I know that now because over the past 11 years I've really worked hard on myself to help other people. I worked hard on myself for 27 years, but over the past maybe 11, 12 years I took the wake-up call from the cancer. I understood where it came from the way I was thinking, from the way I was speaking to others, how I was speaking to myself, and so negatively. I had no immune system. I broke that down with fear and living with fear. When I understood what fear was, just something that was learned, I wasn't born with fear, so I learned it, and I began to unlearn it, and then the challenge began to change for me and the thousands I've worked with when I'm working with them. We have to realise and accept that we are responsible for the way we think, for the way we feel, for the way we react. We can't blame anybody anymore. That's where the change comes from, when we finally take that responsibility, which is difficult. I'm not sitting here saying it's easy. It's difficult, it's not hard, but it is difficult, because we're going against the grain. We're going against things we learned and believed to be normal patterns of behaviour, the way we were thinking, judging other people quickly, criticising them, getting angry with the television and the newspaper. Why do you watch the television? Why do you buy a newspaper? When we get angry and upset with what we're seeing and what we're reading. So I tried a choice not to do that. When I found out how I was reacting to the world and the greed and the ignorance and the selfishness, I stopped maybe about 25 years ago watching television and newspapers. I've got loads of other things I can do, like sitting here talking to you. But the process of change begins with realising and admitting to ourselves, taking responsibility for the feelings that's caused by the thought. Now we understand that and we've experienced that, because when we're thinking good, kind thoughts, how does the body feel? When we're thinking negative, hurtful, harmful thoughts, how does the body feel? But we're not aware we have a choice, my friends. But I had to learn to listen. Just sit back and listen to the thoughts coming in, not answering them back, not having a conversation with them. Who was I talking to anyway? It was insane what I was doing, talking to myself first thing in the morning, right through the whole day and at night, and then waking up the same morning because I had the same thoughts, which caused the same feelings and sensations, and that had to change. And if I didn't challenge my mindset and take responsibility, I would never change my thoughts. Listening to other people on YouTube and reading books helped change my vocabulary, where I started looking at things maybe different. But I had to find out for myself the root was the fear. And when I chose not to live with fear, through knowing it was just an expectation appearing real in my mind, a false expectation appearing real in my mind, I was gathering the evidence myself and listening to these words and thoughts and believing them. That was my mental health. That's what took me into attempted suicide. That's why I couldn't ever come off of alcohol or drugs or stop the insanity of self-harming and want to kill myself. And it was just my thoughts. I couldn't blame anybody else. There was nobody else sitting there telling me I was a bad person. I was choosing to do this every day because I wasn't aware of the way I was thinking and not take responsibility for the sensations. But it was just the thoughts. I'd been thinking the same way and acting to them and behaving the same way for a heck of a long time. And that's where the difficulty comes in. But when I learned to challenge it, through my partner Lorraine, sharing her experience, how she changed, and I didn't want to, be honest with you. I was very arrogant at that time and I didn't want any help, and I thought I could do it myself and I couldn't, and I had to surrender and say, I give up, I need help here. And then I got the help. When I began to challenge my thought process, the energy began to change. First, last thing at night before I went to my bed, I practiced sincerity and thankfulness and gratitude. And that's what I woke up with in the morning. Please try it and you'll see what I mean. But we have to mean it, we have to be sincere. I didn't have anything to be grateful for. That's what began to change for me, was looking at my thinking and challenging it. But believing and trusting in myself, I could change the thought, because when I looked at it, got up in the morning, I was going to wear a blue shirt. No, I'll wear a grey shirt. I'll shave my head. No, I'll not shave my head today. I'll maybe paint the house white. No, I'll paint it magnolia. When I finally realised that I could change my mind at any time, in the day, and at any point, no, I'm not going there, I'll go here, I'll take the car, no, I'll take the bus. I learned to do that with my thinking. Instead of saying, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, you're too skinny, you've no confidence, you've no self-worth, you're an angry, aggressive man. I changed that to a loving person who was kind to himself. And when I'm kind to myself, I'll be kind to others. So the change, please believe me, if you know any other way without taking medication, please tell me, because the only way I've known how to change, and I studied and qualified and accredited in counselling and therapy, studied psychology, written books, still didn't know how to change till we were at the second book. Everything was just knowledge, and words and knowledge, and the knowledge is nothing, it's only words, it meant nothing to me. Challenging my mindset, believing in myself and trusting in myself, and challenging every negative thought in a nice way, because for years I used to punish myself and say, oh Gerry, stop doing that, don't go there. I was getting angry and I was defeating the purpose. For me to change and be kind and happy, I had to begin with myself. And when I learned to be kind, I learned to be happy through gratitude. But there'll be people listening now who have got absolutely nothing to be grateful for, when that horrible feelings and sensations are going through our body. But please believe me, listen to the thoughts. Listen to them, and you don't answer them back, and you'll hear them coming in while you're not even thinking. Please believe me, just sit back and you'll hear them coming in that fast and furious that we think it's normal. When you can challenge that thought in the moment and say, don't go there, Gerry, don't go there. That's me recognised it on the spot and challenged it on the spot. That if you say to yourself, I'll never do that, I can't do that, or in Glasgow we say, I can't do that, you won't do it because you've told yourself another lie. Being true to yourself is like believing in yourself. The power lies inside yourself. When you challenge a thought, all you're saying is, don't go there, don't go there. That's you recognised it. That's you began the process of change, because before that we were just running with the thought. But once your body will warn you, please believe me, your body is like a thermometer. It warns you when the thinking is went negative, and that's a sign to me from inside the spirit saying, catch that thought, Gerry, before you run with it, because it's going to hurt you. And that's what I began doing, and that's the only way I knew how to change. Nobody could change me. They could listen to me, they could give me suggestions, but to change the thought, I had to do that myself. I could go for walks, read a book, blah blah blah, burn my incense, light my candles, and feel good, and then the next day the thoughts would come back again, because I wasn't doing anything about them. It was a habit. I became frightened of myself. I became terrified and frightened of my own thinking that destroyed my own body, and I ended up insane as a qualified and accredited counsellor, therapist, or whatever you want to say. I became insane when I had these qualifications. And as I said, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of professional people, scientists, blah, 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 teachers who, like me, were insane. Because we knew all the words, we had all this knowledge, but we never had any wisdom to know the difference. And that to me was a gift from the universe saying, you can do this. And I started believing in myself, challenging every single negative thought, challenged it, started feeling good. Then I knew every day not to talk back to the thought, not to answer it back, not to have a conversation with it, because then I realised I was talking to myself. And that is, to me, when I started the process of change, was through my honesty, my willingness, taking full responsibility, learning to talk to myself in a nice way, and then eventually learning to quiet my mind where the thoughts don't come in, because I believe that every one of us is a master over our own mind, body and spirit. I've experienced that now. Thoughts will still come in, but there's no power over you when you don't answer them back, because you are the master, you're in control, you're the controller of your own life. You hear people saying of your own destiny. That is true. You can challenge your own mindset, believe that you can challenge it, believe that you can change it. You have to believe you can change it. Why would you disbelieve? Why would we doubt ourselves? Because again, that's another thought saying, I can, when you've not even tried. Or you'll get fed up maybe, and you'll just revert back to normality, which is pain. People didn't get anywhere in life without persevering. You have to believe in yourself. You've learned to doubt yourself, we've learned to belittle ourselves, we've learned to hate ourselves, we've learned to hate other people. And that's what causes the horrible feelings in our body. Nothing more, nothing less. You've experienced that. Because when people are saying you look good, you feel good. People are praising you and patting you on the back. How does it make your body feel? When you're praising yourself and patting yourself on the back, how does it make your body feel? This is experiences we have, and we fail to recognise that we can do this. We can be happy every single day. What's going to make you unhappy? Other people. We've already spoke about that. We've no power over them. We can't change them. We can't control them. We can't fix them. Not even our own children. Live and let live. Learn to recognise the thoughts that are creating horrible energy. That is the way you'll change. That begins the process when we become willing and have a desire to be free of emotional pain. Challenge yourself in a nice way. Recognise it. And when you catch it, it might take an hour. You might rant and rave for an hour. Then maybe you'll catch it. Then it'll be a half an hour, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, a minute, and you'll catch it in the moment where you won't answer it back. You've seen it coming in and you just let it go again. It's just energy. How do you know that? I've explained it because the body explains to us and helps us through the experiences that we've had, that when we're doing good things and helping others and helping ourselves and being kind in our thoughts, you're living the dream. When we go against that with what we've learned, my friends, it destroys the dream. And we are destroyers as well as creators. And you can create this harmony and serenity and peace and healing within your own body through challenging the negativity, challenging it, recognising it. Because no book will take your pain away. No human being can take your pain away. That pain is created through our own thoughts, my friends. Please believe me. People have harmed us, done things. We don't want to forgive them. For me, I wouldn't forgive, and I stayed trapped in pain until I learned to forgive. Because I didn't forgive for the other people and the perpetrators and the abusers. I forgave for myself. They've no power over me anymore. Even if a memory comes in, I don't even get near it because I've dealt with it. I've spoken about it, I've accepted it, and I've let it go now, which is difficult. But believe me, if you want to be free of pain, you will be free of pain. Nothing in this planet can touch you. You are the master. You're in control. You can change. You will change. You're going to change because you believe now that now I know. It's just a thought. It's just energy. I can challenge that and say, well, don't go there, and you will see it will go away. But if you don't challenge yourself, other people challenge us and we don't like it. When you challenge yourself in a nice way, you will like it because you are knowing that you are now in the process of healing. because you're now recognising the thoughts that have caused the disharmony in our life, and the disease that we live with is through our own thinking of what we've learned. So please don't be hard on yourself anymore. Don't blame any people for what's going on in our life at this present moment, because we only have this moment. We know if every time we go into the future out of habit, it's going to cause pain, panic, anxiety, because we don't trust ourselves. We have no self-worth, no self-esteem, no love. When we get into the past, it's going to cause regret, shame and guilt. Deal with the past. Deal with the future, knowing I'll go into the past to help me in my future. But going into the future, we have no power or control over that or the past. Use your past as an asset to help you progress forward. Be taking what we can from our past. We don't go into the future because we have no power over the future or the past. We know that through experience. We know we can't change the past, we can't change the future. We only have this moment. Why not practice living in the moment? You will never hurt. I promise you that. You will never hurt when you practice learn to live in this moment. What else are you doing? That's what my friend says. What else are you doing? Why not work in this every day? This is your job. The work that you do, you get paid for. Treat that as a hobby, and you will see you will enjoy going to your work. But your job here on earth, as I believe, is being kind to myself, loving myself unconditionally, because we were born with that. We see it in children and we know we were born with that. So the process of change begins with us, nobody else. Looking at us, looking at the way we think, looking at the way we feel, looking at the way we react. Take responsibility for it. Do not blame, and you will see the healing will begin like that, like that. So I hope you took something from this wee short video. I'll be doing more, and as you know, I'll repeat myself in most of the videos because I have to help people understand that this is difficult. But once you understand what's wrong with us and how to change and get through that process, you will change. You will find peace second to none. I promise you that. So I'll speak to you all soon. I've got loads of other things to share with you. Topics about life that will help you understand and move forward. So namaste, my friends. Peace, everything with you. I bless you, and I thank you for listening in and watching in. And I hope and pray that you took something from this. Thank you so much. Namaste.